What is up, guys? Hassan Malik back here again. And today we are going to be taking a look at the top 20 best SITH minifigures LEGO has ever made. Real quick before we get into it, I just wanted to remind you guys that we are in the last few days for the $130 worth of sets giveaway, so make sure to head over to that video or click the card above, leave a comment on that video, and subscribe to automatically be entered. Okay, back to the video. So this list is going to include some figures that are technically not Sith, but are still dark side users or use red lightsabers and everything. Also, my basis for ranking these figures is off of the quality of the LEGO figure. So not how cool each character is or anything like that, it's purely LEGO aesthetics. And just like my other top list, this one was supposed to also be a top 10, but there were just so many awesome ones that I wanted to discuss, so it'll be a top 20 instead. Okay, first up at number 20, we have one of our non-Sith members of this list, Supreme Leader Snoke, who was first released in 2017. All things considered, Snoke was a pretty underwhelming character, but for the moments he was there, he was pretty cool. His design always looked pretty good to me as well, and I liked his gold PJs. I think LEGO did a great job with the figure. He should be way taller, but that would have been hard for them to implement in LEGO form. I like the gold printed accents on the pearl gold plastic here, and his face print is pretty decent as well. At number 19, we have Darth Vader's apprentice, also known as Starkiller, also known as Galen Merrick, who was first released in 2008 with the only Force Unleashed set LEGO has ever made. The Force Unleashed was a great game series, even if it's no longer part of the canon. It kinda sucks it ended on a cliffhanger that'll never be answered. But I'm at least glad Sam Witwer, who played Starkiller, got to return to the Star Wars universe as Maul. The character in the games looked really cool, and LEGO did not do the best job of recreating him here. They didn't give him a unique head at all, and LEGO has still not figured out how to properly do buzz cuts, so because of that, this figure isn't very accurate. Nonetheless, it still looks cool though. The torso print has a nice amount of detail, and I like the one sleeveless arm look. Overall, he was a badass character, and this figure looks pretty badass too. On to number 18 with our second newest version of Anakin Skywalker, who has technically already embraced the dark side and is now Darth Vader. This figure was released this year in the Duel of Mustafar set. He is using a blue lightsaber, but he is still a Sith, so he gets to be included on this list. We've gotten this version of Anakin where he has already become Darth Vader many times before, but this one is done the best in my eyes. The torso and leg printing look great and are very accurate, and I also like the little addition of the burn marks from the lava. This figure also comes with a secondary, very Sith-like face that looks awesome. I still think the Sirius black hairpiece looks a lot more accurate on Anakin here, but this one looks fine too. Overall, it's one of the best Anakin figs LEGO has ever made. At number 17, we have Anakin Skywalker again, only this time he's already learned the significance of the high ground. This figure was released in 2017 in a great Darth Vader transformation set. This figure also looks very good. It has a bunch of detail for all his little scars and burn marks going from the torso to the head and legs. I especially like the metallic silver legs used on the figure to simulate his new robotic limbs. On to number 16 with Chancellor Palpatine from 2014. I was really up in the air between including this version of Palpatine or the version from the Palpatine's Arrest set in 2012. I like the printing for the 2014 version a little more though, with the very detailed silver prints across the torso and legs. His face print has a lot of detail too. Overall, it's not the most eye-catching figure, but has a lot of intricate designs that look nice. At number 15, we have the Back to Tank Vader from 2019. Now I just want to say this is not just a great figure, but was also included in a really great set, Vader's Castle. Now we only got to see this Back to Tank Vader very briefly in Rogue One, and while it's not the most impressive character design in universe, I actually like the way this minifigure looks a lot more. These prints here are extremely detailed, especially the light flesh accents on the white to give it that wrinkled look. Again, I really like the use of the metallic silver plastic for his arms and legs. I guess I'm just really into shiny LEGO bricks. Another thing that I love about this figure is the little breathing mask he has here. I really like it when Star Wars minifigures include pieces we don't see on their figures too often, and I think this was a great use of this piece here. On to number 14 with Asajj Ventress from 2015. Now we've actually gotten quite a few different versions of Ventress in LEGO form, but I was never a big fan of the animated Clone Wars eyes printed onto the LEGO heads. So this version looks a lot better to me, even though it is technically not canon since this variant is based on the original Clone Wars cartoon. And fun fact, that's actually the Clone Wars I grew up on. Obviously the new Clone Wars is much better, but it was still such a great little show for its time, and I'm glad LEGO gave us a set based on it. Back to the figure here though, she's definitely not the most complex looking minifigure out there and could also use some leg printing, but the simplicity of the figure really helps her look more menacing. My favorite part about this figure has got to be her custom lightsaber hilt pieces that match her in-universe hilts very well. At number 13 we have Savage Opress from 2013. I loved Savage in the Clone Wars, and some people may actually prefer this figure over Maul. He does have the animated Clone Wars eyes, but they work really well on him here and honestly allow for more detail without looking too strange like they do on human characters. He uses the same head mold as Maul for his horns. He probably could have used some leg printing, but I don't think he had much detail on his legs in universe to begin with. My favorite part about this figure is that armor piece that goes over his torso. I think the prints on it look perfect even if they are quite subtle. It also is a great piece to just have in your collection. I remember when I was a kid, I used to always use this piece with my Batman figures to make some pretty dope suits for the Dark Knight. Anyways, he's a great looking figure and I hope we get a remake at some point. On to number 12 with Count Dooku from 2013. Just like Ventress, we've gotten quite a few Dookus, especially Clone Wars ones, which look fine for the TV show, but this movie accurate version looks much better to me. The printing on this figure is honestly quite simple, and that's fine, since that's what he actually looks like in universe. Something really cool about this figure is that he actually uses the same head printing as the LEGO Saruman figure from LEGO Lord of the Rings, since both characters were played by the legend Christopher Lee. And I think using the same headpiece was a great little nod to both franchises. The thing that makes this figure look so good to me is the hilt. It's Dooku's custom bent hilt, and they actually gave it a chrome paint job, which they don't do anymore on current lightsabers. Other versions of Dooku have used this saber, but none of those hilts were paired with figures as realistic looking as this. At number 11 we have Darth Maul with his printed arms from 2012. This isn't my favorite version of Maul LEGO has put out there. The head print looks great as usual with the headpiece for his horns. But the thing I like most here is his arm and torso printing. The contrast between the black printing and red plastic make this figure look downright intimidating. It gives him a very nice dark-sided look. The figure could use some leg printing, but the rest of the figure looks so good I could forgive it. On to number 10 with the 5th Brother Inquisitor from 2016. I think the character in universe looked pretty good, but this figure looks much better than that. LEGO really went all out on this figure for some reason. His prints have a decent amount of detail, but the things that look really nice here are all the custom molds for his shoulders and headpiece. These are very accurate to what they look like in the show, and on top of their shaping, they have all this extra printing across the front and top of his shoulders. My favorite part about the figure is still the Inquisitor rotating lightsaber hilt, which can actually clip onto his back. I really love these hilts in universe, except for that time they turned into helicopters. Honestly, I'm not sure why LEGO went off on this figure, but I'm not complaining at all, it looks great. At number 9, we have the MOC Hunter Droid from 2017. Now, this is not a figure that I know much about. I don't even know if I pronounce his name right. This figure is from the Freemaker Adventures, which I've never watched, but without even knowing anything about this character, I can just tell it's visually one of the most unique Sith figures LEGO has put out there. His prints are all very detailed, and I especially love the use of the gunmetal gray across the figure. They also actually reused the shoulder piece from the 5th Brother here, just without the printing, which looks great on this figure. But the thing I like most about this fig is its head mold. It looks super unique and the mold is very detailed too. And then the dual black hilted lightsabers look awesome as well. On to number 8 with the Battle Damage Vader from 2008, which was also part of the same Force Unleashed set with Galen Merrick. This figure is one of my favorite Vaders. I think his prints on his torso and head are very well detailed, and the mixing and matching between the gray and black plastic for his exposed skin look very nice. My favorite part about this figure is that mold for the lower part of his mask. Again, I love it when LEGO creates unique molds for their figures, so this is a great use of that here on Darth Vader. At number 7, we have the Sith Warrior from 2013. This is actually one of many great Old Republic Sith minifigures LEGO has made over the years. I'm not the biggest Old Republic guy, and honestly I don't know that much about it. I know the general story arcs and whatnot, but I never played through any of the games completely, so I won't pretend to have too much knowledge on this. This figure is based off a Sith Marauder from the Old Republic video game, but apparently LEGO officially named it Darth Mar on their Star Wars minifigure gallery, which doesn't make much sense since it doesn't look like Darth Mar to me at all. This figure's mask also looks very similar to Darth Nox, but neither Nox or Mar use two lightsabers, so it's definitely not them. Getting back to the actual figure here though, regardless of what it's based on, it looks outstanding. The prints are all very detailed, and he also includes some very nice leg printing, which is great to see. I think gunmetal gray instead of the light gray might have looked a bit better for this fig, but it still looks fine. Also, fun fact, this figure was the first to use a black hilt for a lightsaber. On to number 6 with Kylo Ren, specifically the 2019 version with the cracked helmet. Honestly, this version is interchangeable with the Last Jedi version. I just thought the red cracks added some nice extra detail. I know a lot of you guys hate the sequel trilogy and Kylo Ren, and I'm not the biggest fan of the sequels either, but my favorite thing to come out of them has definitely been Kylo Ren or Ben Solo. His story arc and inner conflict made him one of my favorite characters from the Star Wars movies. And even without his story arc, he's just a badass looking dude. I know he's technically not a Sith, but he's still a dark side user. I love his mask and the very simple design for his robes. I think LEGO could have done a much better job recreating his mask here in LEGO form. This one looks way too large and sinks down into his torso too much. It really makes him look like he has no neck. But putting that major flaw aside, it is still a great looking figure. They do a good enough job with the helmet mold that it makes for a very dope looking minifigure. I also love the crossguard lightsaber. I would have liked to see 3 individual pieces for the different sections of the blade, but I understand why that might have been too difficult from a design perspective, so this is fine too. At number 5, we have Darth Maul in his Crimson Dawn outfit from 2020. This is my favorite version of Darth Maul LEGO has ever made. His headpiece and prints look great as usual. I also like the little Crimson Dawn necklace print as well. But the thing that makes this figure really great are his mechanical legs that have some very nice printing on them. The black robe printing looks great continuing from his torso, and the gunmetal gray legs with the extra detailed prints look fantastic. He also comes with his signature double-ended lightsaber that looks awesome. On to number 4 with the Inquisitor from 2015. This Inquisitor features the same awesome lightsaber as the 5th brother. The prints across his torso and legs are a little plain, but they get the job done. I really like that custom armor piece though. It is very well molded and includes some great printed details. I want to see LEGO reuse this piece a lot more with other figures, but my favorite part of this figure is that amazing helmet mold. It looks so awesome. All the small details like the front grille and side edges are just perfectly molded. I'm very glad they went with a dual molded piece here to get the red visor in there instead of printing the red visor on. It allows us to see just enough of his eyes through the mask, which is a great look. I love this figure's custom molds and would love to see them used again. Okay, we are now here at our top 3 figures. So at the number 3 spot, we have the main man himself, Darth Vader from 2020. He is obviously going to be on everyone's top 5 list at least, and he's got the number 3 spot on mine. This figure has been a long time coming. LEGO has been making and improving on the LEGO Darth Vader minifigure ever since LEGO Star Wars first began. And this one is really the culmination of all of those put into one great minifigure.
I am all the Sith.
Almost everything about this figure is perfect. The prints honestly can't get much better. And now with the new arm printing they've added, I don't even know where else they could print this fig. I actually love the newer headpiece for Vader. Yes, I know it's very comically large, but I think it suits the LEGO aesthetic. I really like that it's 2 separate pieces with the bottom and upper half of the mask. The only thing I would change here is tilting the helmet downward a bit. It kind of looks like he's looking up a lot, but I'm nitpicking here. It is a great figure. At our number 2 spot, we have another Old Republic figure, Darth Malgus from 2012. This is another Old Republic figure, so I don't know much about him in the canon other than his major story arcs, which are quite good to be honest. Most of my knowledge about him come from those amazing Old Republic cinematic trailers, which are possibly the greatest video game trailers ever made. But the figure itself here looks great. He's a super scary looking dude in universe, and I think LEGO did a great job of capturing that look here. I love that they gave him the yellow Sith eyes. That, paired with the rest of that amazing armor piece, make him look very intimidating in LEGO form. And like I've said many times throughout the video, I love when LEGO includes great unique molds on their figures, and this is one of the best custom molds LEGO has made. His breathing respirator paired with the rest of the armor is a very detailed mold, and then they threw in a bunch of really awesome printing on top of that to get that perfect look. The rest of the printing on this figure is quite subtle, but is still very detailed, which is really good as it doesn't draw attention away from his upper torso and head. Alright guys, before we get on to our number 1 spot, let's take a look at a few honorable mentions, starting with the Emperor, who didn't make the cut just because he's a very simple looking minifigure with barely any details. Next is Nair or Nare. Honestly, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. This is another Freemaker Adventures figure, and I really like her face print. And then also General Grievous, who isn't Sith or a dark side user, so he can't be on this list. But he's a badass looking bad guy with lightsabers, so I just thought I'd mention him for fun. Alright guys, so here we are at our number 1 spot. So the best LEGO Sith minifigure ever made is Darth Revan from 2014. This is another Old Republic figure, so again, I don't know much about him in universe, but I don't think I need to in order to appreciate just how good this figure looks. This is exactly what comes to my mind when I think Sith. Everything about this figure, from the colors to the use of the armor plating with the robes, screams the dark side. The printing all along this figure is very good. The contrast between the dark red and black is just perfect. I love that he's got the hooded look going in his signature mask, which is my favorite part of this figure. One of the reasons that mask does look so dope though is because it is actually a Mandalorian mask that he wears after vowing to never take it off until he's defeated all the Mandalorians. So it combines what in my opinion is the coolest looking members of the Star Wars universe, the Mandalorians, with the Sith to get this ultimate badass looking minifigure. Only thing extra I would have liked to see on this figure is the other purple lightsaber he uses. I'm not sure if he used both while he was Darth Revan. If you do know, let me know down in the comments. But getting that purple saber would have still been great. I may not have much of a personal attachment to this character, but he is definitely one of the coolest looking Sith in Star Wars and is the best looking Sith in LEGO. So there it is guys, the top 20 LEGO Sith minifigures ever made. How many of these figures do you guys own in your own collections? Let me know down in the comments, I'm really curious. Also make sure to let me know what your list would look like, whether you agree with mine or think it's complete trash. Whatever you're thinking, anything and everything, let me know in the comments below. Also make sure to enter the giveaway because it will be ending on the 18th. But that is pretty much going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.